Welcome to another episode of Chad Sports Talk. You know, my name's Chad. Take a dive into sports. And this is that special time of year in college football. That's right. It is bowl season, where all the hard work of these young men and these coaches are culminating into a bowl. They go travel to that one last display of their talent. Hopefully for some of them may get, increases their stock profile a little bit, or able to, turn that one borderline recruit to now come to your school. And this is kind of showcased a lot of these programs that done extremely well this year. There are 44 bowl games, so just kind of keep that in mind. And I'm only going to do, like I said, a week at a time. So my first week's action will consist of December 17th all the way to the 22nd. So just a handful of bowl games, and there are some pretty good teams in this group of bowls. And I kind of give just a little snippet, a little taste of the head-to-head. I kind of give you my pick to see who is going to come out on top. All right, let's kick things off with the December 17th bowl action. We have two games on the docket to kick off bowl season. Let's head out to the islands. We're going to the Bahamas, to the Bahamas Bowl. This is the seventh edition of the Bahamas Bowl, and this year will feature the Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders and from Conference USA and the Toledo Rockets from the MAC. Both these teams pretty much entered this game on even footing in terms of record. The Blue Raiders ended their season at 6-6. The Rockets were one better at 7-5. Both of these teams making their second ever appearances in the Bahamas Bowl, and this is Toledo's 18th appearance in the bowl season. And Middle Tennessee only has 13 thus far, 13 bowl appearances. And right now, this is the Middle Tennessee's more looked at upon their defense. The defenses have earned some accolades and some praise, even through their offensive struggles through the year, because they're actually been without their star quarterback Chase Cunningham since late October. So it's kind of really hampered the Blue Raiders season. And the Rockets, despite their name, they're not doing an aero attack. They're doing a ground and pound, and they're just running the ball down defenses' throats. They average about 200 yards rushing per game. So it looks like this is going to be pretty much a one-sided affair. As right now, Toledo is favored by 10 at the time of the recording of this video. And I really don't see any other aspects with this one. I really think Toledo's going to be too much for the defense, even though the defense is touted pretty high. But if you continue to run the ball, and you just be successful at running the ball, it wears the defense out, and just pretty soon they're going to cough out the big one. That's all she wrote. The next game of the docket is the Cure Bowl. This is the 7th edition of the Cure Bowl. This will feature the MAC champion Northern Illinois Huskies at 9-4 and one of the premier teams out of the Sun Belt, the 10-2 Coastal Carolina. This will be the first meeting all time between these two programs, so this is going to be a good one. There's also Northern Illinois' first appearance in the Cure Bowl, and their 14th appearance in the bowl season overall, while Coastal will be making their second Cure Bowl appearance, having lost the past 2020 edition, which is also their only other appearance in the bowls. You guys also got to remember, this is a team that's not been up on in the FBS for very long. And we all know Northern Illinois started out pretty hot when knocking off Georgia Tech at the time frame, but then lost to Wyoming, so it's been kind of a back and forth type of thing. And the Coastal only had 2 losses all season, and both losses were by 3 or less points. So let you know this team is very, very stout when it comes to offensive production. But it seems, defense seems to be a little bit of a thing, but they're just one of these teams that will outgun you. Northern Illinois is one of these teams that really does a lot of puts up a lot of points as well. And they're just one of these that also they kind of, their games are kind of close. They're just able to offensively just squeak past. But I think Coastal's going to be too much for NIU and the Huskies. And I see Coastal getting their another Cure Bowl championship. All right, next on the docket will be the Boca Raton Bowl. This is the 8th edition of this bowl, and it'll feature from Conference USA the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers, and the runner-ups. Take on the runner-up of the Sun Belt Conference, the Appalachian State Mountaineers. This is going to be a very highly contested matchup. Western Kentucky is one of these teams that just won't go away. Just ask UTSA. They've taken on them twice, and Hilltoppers gave the Roadrunners all they can handle in both those matchups, including the Conference USA Championship. Hopefully, they've just been humming along. Where I think the fewest amount of points they scored is 31 points. And those were losses, by the way. So if Western Kentucky can score more than score like 42, 45 points, their chances of winning go up immensely. Well, the other side, App State, is also another one of these teams that have been very prolific. I mean, this is one of these darlings of the Sun Belt this year. Looking at their losses, they only have one loss, which was a blowout. That was their first meeting against the Cajuns, where they lost 41-13, but their loss to Miami is only by 2. It was only an 8-point loss to the second-time meeting with Louisiana, so this is definitely going to be a true contest, and the defense for App State is going to be very opportunistic and looking to take control against the Hilltoppers, and I don't see any issues with the Mountaineers coming out on top from the campus of FAU. All right, next up is the 16th edition of the New Mexico Bowl from the campus of University of New Mexico. And this will feature the 7-5 UTEP Miners against the 9-3 Fresno State Bulldogs. This is the 13th meeting between these two. These two used to be in the WAC together, so they have a lot of history. And Fresno State kind of leads this series 8-3-1. But this is going to be, I think, just one side of the fair. UTEP started out strong in the season and then just fell apart. They just couldn't maintain that intensity they had at the beginning of the season. And Fresno State was just probably one game away from taking the West Division title. But was not to be for the Bulldogs this year, but they should have no issue in putting away the Miners in New Mexico. Well, next up, going to head out to Shreveport, Louisiana, and one of the long-standing bowl games. This will be the 45th edition of the Independence Bowl. And then it will feature from Conference USA, the 8-4 UAB Blazers against the independent BYU Cougars, who finished the season 10-2. And believe it or not, it's the first time these two programs actually will face each other. BYU had a very good year. They did a lot of beating of the Pac-12 schools in the beginning of the season, really kind of set their tone. UAB had that really great game against UTSA towards the end of the season, which is a miraculous drive by the Roadrunners that toppled UAB from their being a repeating conference champion. These are two very good teams. Right now, BYU is favored by 7. And, it's I can see why. This is a team by BYU that can hit you in the ground and the air. Warhol's got over 2,500 yards. Algier is over 1,400 yard rusher. So, I can see why they're really looking at this team. But if you look at them Some of their defensive games, they haven't been very good. I mean, they let USC come back against them. Barely beat them. Held on to beat them 35-31 at the end of the year. The game against Virginia, which is a shootout. And UAB is just a very good defensive team. And they also are able to ground and pound as well. So this is definitely going to be one of these games that you really going to have to look at and get in the weeds. And it's just one of these things I think that with UAB, I think UAB can come out and surprise BYU. And I think I'll call for an upset in this one. I'll have the Blazers knocking off the Cougars in the Independence Bowl. Now to Mobile, Alabama, where now the bowl moves from People's Stadium, which has been there for 22 years, to go into the brand new Hancock Whitney Stadium, or they're from the campus of South Alabama. In the 23rd edition of the bowl game played in Mobile, and this year is under the moniker of the Lending Tree. This will feature from the MAC, Eastern Michigan with 7-5, and then the independent 7-5 Liberty Flames. This is only the second meeting all time between these two. And last time these two teams met was back in 1989, and where the Flames edged out then known as the Hurons, 25-24. I guess if you compare it to what Liberty's season was compared to last year, this could be considered somewhat a disappointment. I guess you can kind of say, because they've lost the last 3 games. They kind of back into the postseason. They hanged with Ole Miss, lost to them. Louisiana blew them out. Army was too much for them. So recently, the Liberty hasn't been very good. So it kind of looks like maybe Eastern Michigan could probably stumble along, but they lost 2 of the last 3 games as well, being blown out by Central the very last week of the season, barely beaten past Western, getting beat by Ohio. So I think these 2 teams are going to probably struggle, but I do think the Flames would be just too much for the Eagles, and Liberty will take the Lending Tree Bowl. And here we get to welcome in a brand new bowl in the beautiful confines of SoFi Stadium, the inaugural LA Bowl. That will feature the the Mountain West champions. The Utah State Aggies at 10-3 will take on 7-5 Oregon State. This is the 4th time that these 2 programs will meet. Oregon State's won all previous 3 matchups. But Utah State is just one of these teams. They came out against San Diego State and just smacked them down defensively. They've been hammering the past 2 opponents these past 2 games. Averaging about 11 points per game these past 2. If you overlook Wyoming, their defense has been pretty standard, pretty stellar in this past month. And this has just been a very well-coached team. Their offense is just firing along as well, except for, like I said, overlook Wyoming. But pretty much since the 16th of October, the Aggies have been on the roll, and which kind of led them to where they're sitting at. Now for the Beavers, this is now one of these teams that kind of, middle-of-the-road pack program. And they lost their civil war against Oregon, but they gave them all they got. But they were to take care of Arizona State the week prior to that, and before then Stanford. Of course, everyone's been beating Stanford. And for right now, that the Beavers are actually favored by 7, but I do not think that's going to be the case. I think it's going to be the Aggies are going to be too much for Oregon State to handle. I mean, Utah State's already beaten a Pac-12 school already this year, and that's their opener, and they beat Washington State, and Oregon State couldn't beat Washington State later on in the year. So Utah State just got better. So I really think the Aggies will take the inaugural LA Bowl and edge out Oregon State. Next up, we'll head down to the Big Easy and for the 21st edition of the New Orleans Bowl. This will feature the Sun Belt champion Louisiana Raging Cajuns at 12-1. Will take on the Marshall Thundering Herd for Conference USA, who finished 7-5. This is actually the first meeting between these two, which is kind of shocking for how long these two programs have been playing college football, that they've never faced off. And it could be a preview of what is to come when Marshall heads to the Sun Belt in 2023. But when you look at the Cajuns, they've on a 12-game winning streak, they've just been dominating teams throughout. They've had 2 consecutive bowl victories with the now Lindgren first responder. They're back-to-back Sun Belt champions. This is just the pillar of this program. Unfortunately, their head coach, Billy Napier, have left to take over the reins in Florida to see if they can, duplicate his Bayou magic over there in the swamp. So we'll kind of see how this one will be going. The Cajuns, this is their 6th appearance in this bowl game. So we'll kind of see how things are going to proceed. Because right now the Cajuns overall bowl record 7-3, and their last bowl win was against UTSA. Now for Marshall, this is their first time in this particular bowl, and the first time taking on a Sun Belt since the 2011, then the Beef O'Brady Bowl. Well, these bowl games, which is now the Gasparilla, by the way, when they beat FIU. In this one, Louisiana's favored by 6. I think Louisiana's going to beat Marshall more than that. I really do. But, yeah, I totally agree. It's going to be Cajuns knocking off Marshall. And then December 20th, we'll head over there to Conway, South Carolina, the campus of Coastal Carolina, for the 2nd edition of the Myrtle Beach Bowl. This will feature teams from Conference USA, which will be the Old Dominion Monarchs, who are 6-6, and the American Athletic with Tulsa Golden Hurricanes, also at 6-6. This is also the first time that these two teams are played against each other, and it's just going to be one of these interesting games, as Old Dominion had to win the last game to become bowl eligible. So the fact that they're able to kind of turn around their season towards the end is pretty good. I mean, they went on a tear, winning their last 5 after losing 5 in a row. So they did a great turnaround at the end. Defense kind of stepped up when they needed to ensure that they do make it to this particular point. And their offense was on fire against Charlotte at that last week to clinch their ticket to the bowl season. Now for Tulsa, this is another one of these teams that goes in streaks. They won their last 3 games, and a lot of them were some of them close. I mean, they blew at Temple back on the 20th of November. But they had to squeak past SMU, which was very, very good at the time. So that's kudos for them. They got a nice quality win there. But they barely got past Tulane, which had a horrible team this year. Gave Cincinnati all they can handle. And, of course, Navy. Navy's just one of these teams that's hard to beat anyways. But I think it's just one of these teams that is going to be difficult for the Monarchs to really have any sustained success. And I really see that Tulsa should edge them out in this game, because right now they're favored by 9.5. I do think it's going to be closer than that, but I will give the Myrtle Beach Bowl to the Tulsa Golden Hurricanes. And then we head to the 21st of December. Now, first off is the famous Idaho Potato Bowl up there in Boise, Idaho. This is the 25th edition of the bowl game in Boise. This will feature the MAC runner-up Kent State at 7-6 and the Mountain West member Wyoming Cowboys also at 6-6. This is the first time that these two will be playing each other, which is also kind of weird for how long these two programs have been playing at this particular level. And for Kent State, they had to go into overtime to beat Miami to get themselves in there. They shut out Akron a week prior, but they got blown up at Central Michigan before then. And then, of course, the MAC championship game where there was just too much for NIU was just too much for Akron to handle, and NIU was winning easily. And for Wyoming, this has been kind of a letdown, really. They showed a lot of promise early in the season. I mean, racked up four wins. They beat Montana State, who made a deep run in the FCS playoffs. They beat the MAC champions as well. But after that, they kind of fell back to earth, and then just been kind of bouncing back and forth between wins and losses. And they ended the season with a loss. And I really think that Wyoming could probably look at themselves as a decent team. I really think that could probably cause some issues. A lot of the focus will probably be on Kent State. And right now, Wyoming's favored by 3, and I think that's probably very accurate. I do think that's going to be the Cowboys edging out Kent State in this one. And I would definitely agree with that 3 aspect. Next up, we'll have the 4th edition of the Frisco Bowl. This will also feature first-time matchup between the Mountain West runner-up San Diego State Aztecs at 11-2 and the Conference USA champion UTSA Roadrunners at 12-1. And San Diego State is just one of these teams that just slowly put together a very quality team. There's not many games on their schedule they really blew anyone out. Besides Arizona, of course, but everyone beat Arizona. And then New Mexico, but that's New Mexico, so it's just one of these things that they did very methodical games. Just they got caught short against Utah State, so I don't think they're going to do that again. But for the Roadrunners, I know they've struggled this past month. I think the strain of being always performing, always living up to the hype. Basically, that I think they might have perceived on themselves, or maybe that other people are starting to put on them. But the strain of the schedule could have gotten to the Roadrunners at the end of the year. You got to think Southern Miss took it to them early, and it wasn't towards the end where the defense really stepped up and was able to finally stop Southern Miss for doing anything, and the offense all of a sudden start clicking. Same thing with UAB. Just a magical drive at the end. North Texas, they just fell apart. And then Western Kentucky, they had to hold on. After jumping off early on them, they had to hold on to preserve their victory against the Hilltoppers to claim their first ever conference championship. And for this one, I think right now the Roadrunners are actually favored in this matchup against the Aztecs. And, I can see why. But the San Diego State is a very Riley team. They are very good. But right now, the Roadrunners are the favored by 2.5. So I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to take the Aztecs to knock off the Roadrunners. The Roadrunners had a magical season. They're conference champions. They got ranked for the first time. They were undefeated for a while. So hats off the Roadrunners. They're going to have more things coming to them. I foresee it. But I think San Diego State needs to put a nice feather in their cap of their season, trying to help them bounce back a little bit. And the last game I'll cover for this week will be played on December 22nd, and I'll feature the 8-4 Army Black Knights taking on the 6-6 Missouri Tigers in the 19th edition of the Armed Forces Bowl. This is the 5th meeting all time between these two programs, and Missouri leads it by that series 3-1. And Army had a letdown against their arch rival Navy in their annual grudge match, but they're still the defending Commander-in-Chief's trophy winner. Since they beat Air Force and Navy didn't, so they retained it. But beyond that, this is a very potent offense. I mean, if you looked at like some of the games they did, I mean, they put 56 points up on Wake Forest. Of course, they coughed up 70, but they put up 56. They hampered Wisconsin. And their matchup and the games against, their sister academies were very, very close. And for Mizzou, this is a team that's kind of battling back, and they've been back and forth all season. Just kind of hard to kind of get in there, and they lost their rivalry game against Arkansas by big numbers, but they before then they beat Florida in overtime. So it's definitely doable for Army to do this. This is anytime one of the bigger names take on the FBS, the service academies, they struggle because it's a triple option type of offense. It's hard to really kind of plan against because you don't know they're going to be running or who's going to run, where the ball's coming at, or they're going to pass. It's just very, very hard. And these defenses always seem to do very, very good. They always seem to step up, even though they're, slight size disadvantage a little bit. But right now, Army's favored by 3.5. I think it'll be a little bit closer than that. But I will go with Army in this instant. This will wrap up my first week of the college preview. As I said, I'll probably do this, schedule for like every Wednesday, do another week of bowl action, kind of, give you guys, my takes on some of these and see how we go. And should be for a very interesting bowl season, and waiting towards the end of these videos to really, look at that good college football playoff semifinals. I mean, those games should be really good. But these other ones will be really good. I'm going to watch that UTSA San Diego State one. That should be a very good bowl game. That UAB BYU should be a decent one as well as Western Kentucky App State. Should be another quality matchup as well. So there's definitely some good early bowl games out there. And there's something for everyone. So just check them out. Most of these bowl games are on the ESPN family of networks. Actually, all of them are on the ESPN family of networks. So, you don't have to worry about anything. Just go to ESPN and you always seem to find them. But just let me know down below which bowl game you're looking forward to seeing in these this week. Maybe, which bowl game you're looking forward to seeing overall. Do you think my picks are completely off? Who do you have winning these bowls? And while you're down there, you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I looked at my analytics. I see guys see my work and watch my work, and I love you all for doing that. It really lets me know that I'm providing some type of service for everyone here. But not many of you subscribe. It doesn't cost you a dime. It actually helps me out to provide more entertainment for you all in terms of these aspects, and I would greatly appreciate it. When you do that, you go and hit the bell notification. Let you know when I post another video, and I will see you next time on Chad Sports Talk.